If you're relatively new to working with GeoLayers, I know things are probably intimidating and overwhelming. That's why I wanted to put together today's video, which is all about creating your first map from start to finish. I'm going to break things down step by step, and it's going to be super easy and fun to follow. And if you happen to like this video and you'd like to learn more, I actually put together a GeoLayers 3 Masterclass, and I'm going to link that down in the video description. All right, I'm inside of Adobe After Effects. Now, once you've already installed the plugin, just go to the window drop-down menu, select Extensions, and then grab GeoLayers 3. That will launch the panel. Now, the first thing that you really need to do is create what's called a Mapcomp. So these are really the building blocks of GeoLayers. So you can come to the top here and click on Create Mapcomp, and then you can specify a number of different parameters. You can give your Mapcomp a name, you can change the resolution, the frame rate. Let's do 25 frames per second because we're in Europe, and we'll do a duration of 6 seconds. I urge you to try to get the resolution correct from the get-go, because changing this particular parameter later on can be a bit of a headache. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Now, this brings us to the Mapcomp Imagery page. This is where we choose what we want our Basemap imagery to be. Now, when you first purchase GeoLayers, you're going to get a 2-week free trial of what's called the MapTyler Cloud subscription premium plan. I don't know what it's currently called. This allows you to access premium Basemap data, and it opens up quite a number of different features, because GeoLayers has a partnership with this company called MapTyler. They integrate a couple of different features inside of After Effects. Inside of the GeoLayers panel, you'll see extra features if you have the subscription. Things like creating a water mask, or being able to customize your base map, and doing a lot of things with base maps in general. However, if you don't want to purchase this, you can still use other base maps. You have access to Bing Aerial, as well as a handful of others. If you want to use one in commercial projects, I urge you to check out Universal Raster. This is from a company called Natural Earth Data. This is all public domain. There are some limitations on like how far you can zoom in, but this one is going to be totally public domain, royalty free. But for this example, I'm just going to choose Bing Aerial and click Create. This is going to set up your map comp. And it essentially puts together like this pre-composition that has the map information all rigged up, and it has these tiles that are inside of this pre-comp here. But you really control the map in the GeoLayers panel. So over here, if you right click, you can change the pitch and the bearing. If you left click, you can simply drag around, and you can mouse wheel to scroll around. You can also use these controls down here. You can reset the rotation. You'll also notice this like blue overlay. This is what is like showing up in your actual composition panel over here. So now don't accidentally grab this. If you click and drag the map here, you'll see that you're just dragging the composition around. You don't want to do that. So go ahead and undo that. We're getting the dreaded mismatch. So actually what you can just do is come down here and like reset your transformations. I don't think that should mess up anything. So don't do that. That's a perfect example of why you shouldn't mess with that. Okay, so we have our map comp set up. Now we need to like actually grab some map features. Well, first we need to know like what the heck are we mapping? Let's say in this example, I want to do like you see on the news when they have a story going on somewhere in the United States, they'll zoom in on a state, and they'll call out the state, and then they'll have like a little city label. So that's what I want to create for this particular project. It'll be pretty easy. So I'm going to bring my map over the United States. Now, real quick note, you might notice that things look pretty low resolution. And this is the way GeoLayers is rigged. It actually allows you to work faster without putting a bunch, making it super intense for your computer to actually process the imagery. It feeds you these low res tiles. At the end, the final step is you do something called finalizing. You have this big blue button up here that says finalize. When you click on this, it will download all the high resolution Mapcomp imagery, tile imagery, and then you can render it out. So you can do that as like a final step. Okay, so now I want to grab my actual map features or some like geospatial data. So how do I do that? Well, there's 2 ways we can do it right away. Well, there's actually 3 ways. We can import if we have some existing geodata, or you can search geodata right here via this keyword. So let's say we're focusing on Oklahoma. So I can just type in the word Oklahoma, and it's going to give me some search results. So these results are coming from 2 main sources. You have Natural Earth Data, and if you're in the geospatial world, you'll know what that is. And you have OpenStreetMap. And you can see them kind of grayed here. So here are our natural earth results, and here are some OpenStreetMap results. So as I hover over natural earth, I get this preview. And if you click on this far right button, it says add to browser. That will add it down here and kind of gives it to me as like a feature in my little browser area. Now this is kind of in cache. So if I were to close out Adobe After Effects and reopen it, it's just going to be gone. So if you want to save it, you actually have to add it to your favorite features or export the feature out and save it as a GeoJSON to your local drive. So be aware of that. So I have Oklahoma here. What else do I want to do? I actually want to show all the borders of the 50 states. So to do that, I'm not going to sit here and search the states one by one. You can come over here and click on this Add Features to Browser button, and there's this little button that says Download Features. If you click on this, this actually brings you to some of the global data sets for different categories here, which is really, really awesome. So it's mostly natural earth. You have some OpenStreetMap at the bottom here. I'm going to grab states and provinces. So if you click on this, it's going to automatically add it to your feature browser. Sometimes you have to wait because this is a lot, and it'll show us the previews. The preview is going to load. So it's not only states and provinces for the US, this is a global data set. If I open it up, it has everything neatly organized into country subfolders. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the United States, this one. And I'm just going to click this and drag it to the left so that it like pops it out of our, well, it should have like, let's see. I'm going to click on states and provinces and just delete this because I don't want any of these. Now I've isolated just the US. I want to do some more data cleanup with this folder here. And that is, I want to focus on the lower 48. So if I open up the feature collection, we now have all of these 50 states, but they're not like alphabetized or organized. So to take care of that, with the folder or the feature collection selected, I'm going to click on Feature Properties. And that gives us a bunch of information, like shows us the attributes or the properties. But at the top here, I can actually name it by any of these properties. I can change the name. I can also sort the features by name. So I'm already happy with how they're named. I just want to sort them alphabetically. There we go. Now I can grab Alaska, just delete it, and scroll down, grab Hawaii, and delete that. And now I've got just the lower 48. You can double click on a feature collection to automatically snap your map view to that area. And you can do it to any feature. So if I want to snap to Alabama, snap to Arizona, it's a cool little trick. We also want to grab, so if we're focusing on Oklahoma, let's say we want to grab the city of Tulsa as well. So we're going to go search Tulsa. I have this city, so I'm going to add that to my browser. Looks like it gives us the boundaries of the city, but that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's zoom back out to the United States. Now we're ready to draw out some of these map features. So when you're drawing out these features, you need to specify how they're going to be styled, and you do that with layer styles. The layer styles are up here. You click on this little box up here. We have some layer style presets up here that are matched to this particular Mapcomp imagery profile. And then you have how basically your shapes are going to be drawn out. So when you draw out map features, they are drawn out as shape layers. So these are essentially vector layers that use vertices and paths. So you can specify how they are drawn out via these parameters. You can control the simplification of the geometry. You can control whether you want the stroke to automatically adjust as you zoom in and out. You can specify if you're drawing out individual layers of multiple map features or if you want them all connected in one layer. And you can also specify if you want to go ahead and draw that shape layer inside of your Mapcomp. So we're going to first draw out our United States. We want to do the borders here. So I'm going to grab this right here, this line, and I want it to simplify the geometry based on the current zoom. I don't want it to be individual layers. And auto stroke width, maybe I'll just turn that off. And now with this selected, we can click on the draw feature and let's see what happens. It should draw it out. Now, when you're drawing out map features, the more complex the path, the more vertices it will draw out and the more intensive it's going to be on your system. So as you draw these features out, be aware that if you're trying to draw the entire world, it's going to be very taxing on your system, and you might not even be able to do it. Okay, so now we have this particular layer. If I solo it, you can see what we've got going on here. Just these, the lines here, just the stroke elements of our particular 50 states, like the boundaries. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go to Oklahoma. And let's say for this one, we just want to do like solid white. I'll go ahead and draw this feature out. So now we've got these two features. Now I want to add a label. So how do we label this? Well, you have all of your labels up here. These are your like label template presets. It comes stock with a few set up here. You'll find these in the project panel under label templates. And the cool thing about this is you can create and customize your own label templates. All you have to do is create your own composition, and then you drop it in this subfolder. It will populate in your label templates. So it's very cool. Again, this is a more advanced feature. So now let's say we want to label Tulsa. So I'm going to grab the Tulsa map feature, and I'm going to go ahead and select, well, let's go ahead with the default here so you can see it, place top. And now I'm going to click on this little button right here, label features, and we'll say add label. And now it looks like nothing has happened. We have this layer here, but nothing's happening. Now if we play it back, you'll notice that it did in fact add a label. So it has this like little animation here. You can see as I scrub this, it actually pops this up right here. And if we turn off our Oklahoma solid white, there it is. Okay, now before I start animating anything, I want to hone in this style of this particular map. So I have all the map features. Now what I want to do to call out Oklahoma, instead of just having this solid white, I want to really have it pop a little bit more, maybe bring the background down to just make it stand out. So to do this, I'm going to create another Mapcomp. So once again, the Mapcomps are really the building blocks of GeoLayers. So to really harness the power of GeoLayers, we can create multiple Mapcomps. So to do this, go click on your Mapcomp settings menu, which is right over here at the top left, and click on Create New Mapcomp. This will allow us to create an entirely new Mapcomp. You can see all the same parameters here. However, we have a new parameter for link view. If you click on this, you can say don't link it or link it to another Mapcomp. So I want this to follow along with the animation of my other comp, so I'm going to link it to World Mapcomp. And I'm actually going to call this one Oklahoma. And what I'm going to do here is isolate Oklahoma with this one. So I want to grab the exact same Mapcomp imagery, which is Bing Aerial, and I'll go ahead and create this. And if you look in the timeline here, you'll see that it adds another composition with another anchor layer here. Okay, so what we've got now is just this Oklahoma on top of everything. So what I want to do is essentially, I'll drag this below my labels and everything else. What I want to do is take this map comp and just have Oklahoma isolated. So to do that, I can just use a mat inside of Adobe After Effects. We have mats that allow us to control the imagery, crop it. So to do that, you have your track mat column right here. If you can't see it, just toggle the switches and modes button. And what we want to do is with track mat, we grab the pick whip and we just select that Oklahoma solid. And you can't really see what's going on or what happened here, but if I solo it, now for this Oklahoma map comp, we just have Oklahoma. So why would I do that? Well, what that allows me to do now is, I'm actually going to turn off these admin boundaries. What I can do now is control the background, which is this world map comp. If I start to bring the opacity of this down, you'll notice that Oklahoma starts to indeed stand out. Very, very cool. Now I'm going to come over here to the admin boundaries, and these are popping really big. I don't want to, do this. I want to bring the opacity of this down, make them way more subtle. I can do this manually by adjusting the opacity, or I could go back to the layer styles and click on this layer style that we were using, and I can actually edit the style. Let's say we want the width, the pixel width to be a lot thinner. So I'm going to bring the pixel width down, and we want the opacity to be way lower, something like 50. There's a ton of different parameters here. Now I can save this out, or I can just swap it with the existing layers. If I click on this layer again, I can click over here and do swap layers style. and it's gonna swap it out real quick. And if I want to save out this preset, I can just go ahead and apply it. And there we go. Now we have this like more subtle kind of look. So let's full screen this. Getting closer to a pretty nice look. Now I'm ready to do a little bit of animation on our map view. So we're going to keep this really simple. We're just going to fly in from the US wide to the Oklahoma. So actually this will be the starting point of our animation. So I can move my playhead here to where I want the animation to start. Let's say I want it to start like 10 frames in right here. I can click on this little keyframe button right here. So click on keyframe, and now if I look down here, let me full screen my timeline, you'll see that it added these 5 keyframes. We have latitude, longitude, zoom, bearing, pitch. So now I can bring my playhead over here, and I can just manually zoom this into Oklahoma to like put it wherever I want. It's gonna update here. Or I can just double click on Oklahoma and it's gonna automatically, like snap it in there. There we go. Now I will just manually zoom out once, because let's say we don't want to go in quite that far. Now, if I move my playhead around, let's see what we got. We can just play the preview here, and the label comes in, and then we have our zoom in to the state. Now this will automatically add ease because there's preferences in the GeoLayers panel that are set up to have it auto ease. Okay, so we've created a quick little map view animation. Now I want to animate these features. So let's say that I don't want the background to be dark this whole time. I want it to like get darker as we zoom in. So for that, just grab that world map comp, hit T for opacity, actually hit U again to bring up the all the keyframes, and we will add a keyframe for opacity here. Hold Shift T to bring up opacity. Add a keyframe for opacity here, bring the playhead back to the beginning and set it to 100. And then we'll see what that looks like now. So it starts full. There we go. And maybe I'll even like slowly bring in the admin boundaries. So we want them to be a little bit more subtle. So we can go to this layer, hit T for opacity, and maybe even bring it down a little bit lower to like 80 because it's just really cranking. And at the beginning, it can be, let's say 25. I don't know. Okay, it looks like we have almost a finished animation here. And our last step, as I mentioned earlier, is to finalize the map tile imagery. So to do that, you just click on this finalize button and it will tell you, give you a little status bar here and show you all the map comps that it's finalizing. And then once that's done, it should look a little bit more high res. You can go ahead and preview it, make any tweaks if you want, but I'm gonna go ahead and render this out. So with the timeline highlighted, go to composition and select add to render queue. And then under output module, I just click the drop down menu and grab the match, the H.264 presets. You can grab whichever one you want. I'll just grab this 40 megabytes and then give it a name and then go ahead and render it out. And let's have a look at it. Now, the way I like to work, a typical workflow is I will render my first version out and it will be very rough. You can see the animation's pretty janky, but it gives you a look, a good look at the overall animation, and you can take some quick notes and figure out what you want to do. For example, I want to ease a lot of these animations in, make them a lot snappier, mess with the graphs and add some speed and velocity to this animation, and also move that label animation to maybe the end. So once we're zoomed in, Tulsa will pop up. There's a ton of different things you can do to just tweak this. So yeah, generally my typical workflow will be rendering out a couple of different versions until I really get a version or a look that I like. And I feel like a lot of times I'll receive questions on YouTube about how does your computer system handle this? And a lot of it is adjusting the parameters within Adobe After Effects, keeping your resolution down. Like if you go to the window preview menu here, you can turn your skip down to 5 and set your resolution to quarter. You can also bring the resolution of this down, and then you just render out different versions as compared to like trying to actually watch it here inside of After Effects. I will just render out in an H.264, an MP4 that I can watch just to let me look at it in full resolution. So I know I covered a lot here. Hopefully you learned a lot. Feel free to bookmark this video if you want to watch it a couple of times. I also have chapters here, so if you want to quickly jump around and rewatch whatever parts you want to rewatch. I urge you to kind of go through this and choose different map features as you follow along. It's really going to help you learn. Maybe add your own little spice to it. Try to add some additional features, or maybe choose a different location, add some pitch and bearing moves as well, maybe add some more keyframes to, again, just really help you learn. So GeoLayers really goes deep. There are a lot of features. I haven't even scratched the surface here. This will just kind of get you up and running to create some quick map animations. So once again, I urge you to check out my GeoLayers 3 Masterclass. I really cover everything I know about the program in this Masterclass, which again is linked in the video description. Just go check out the trailer, maybe it'll pique your interest. Also, I have a Patreon page where I release exclusive tutorials once a month. I also give away project files and create animation presets and just do other cool map related stuff. So if you're a hardcore map nerd, you might want to check that out as well. Thanks, see you in the next one.